The biggest reason I haven't reached my full potential or major success is because of my lack of faith, according to my dad. And this is the thing, I want to believe in God, I really do, and it pisses me off because I'm lost spiritually. But why can't I see him? Religion has existed for thousands of years. It gives meaning to our lives and hope after death. Religion brings peace to the world. A God-fearing man is someone you can trust, a righteous person. Even the most powerful men in history who could let fame and power get to their head were still fervent believers in their God. Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, God played a vital role in their lives. Now I don't want to get too deep in the good and the bad that comes with religion. So let's talk about my religious dilemma. Why can't I see God? I think a big reason why God hasn't appeared in my life is because the more I learn, the more ignorant I realize I am. And this tends to create a lot of pondering for me, especially on the meaning of life and God. Let me explain. My family left Mexico to pursue the American dream, and we ended up in a place called Iowa in rural America. Since my parents didn't speak English, we only interacted with other Mexicans of the area. And they always told me that the reason that we're blessed and the reason we're able to be in the United States of America, the most powerful country on earth, is because we had the support of God. Any blessing in life was all a result of God's will. And growing up, my dad would talk to me about his youth. Like many Mexicans who immigrate over to the USA, their youth is usually full of poverty. That's the reason why they want to go to the USA. My dad would tell me that as a young kid, he would pray to God for a bottle of Coca-Cola. As a young innocent kid, I remember telling my dad, why would you pray for a bag of chips or a bottle of Coca-Cola? Dad, we have a lot of them here at home. My dad gave me my first lesson in life that day. He would say that the reason we have all of that in abundance is because he prays to God every day he wakes up to make sure that I never lack anything. My parents had me do my baptism to my first communion. As a young innocent boy, a seed was planted in me, making me believe God is real. And because my parents worked a lot, my godmother from baptism always took care of me. She was a fervent Catholic. She always volunteered at our local church, and I always had to tag along. It was torture for me at first. I always got bored. Why am I here? But after a while, I adjusted and befriended everyone in the local church. My Catholic faith deepened from hearing countless masses and only surrounding myself with religious people. Mexicans would thank God for every blessing because it was God's will. If we ate good, we'd say gracias a Dios, which means thanks to God. If we got an A+ in school, Mom would say gracias a Dios. Every December, we'd go to Mexico and visit family. And before the trip even started, he would say, si Dios quiere, llegaremos bien a México. Which means, if God wants, we'll get to Mexico, all right? From birth to my upbringing, all I ever knew was a Catholic faith. That's a religion I chose to believe in because my parents said it was the right one. That's the only one I ever knew. And this all changed when I entered university. I was the first person in my direct family to go to university, so I didn't know what to expect. I had chosen to study political science and entrepreneurship. And oh boy, in my political science class, I had to take religion classes. In the religion classes, I learned about all the atrocities done in the name of my religion. I was also introduced to other religions in my political science classes, from Jews, Muslims to Hindus. My whole life, I've only known one religion. Now being introduced to other religions, other practices, overwhelmed me completely. My faith became a mess. I started pondering whether my religion was the right one. And it got even worse when I got separated from my family and decided to go study abroad in China for my second year in uni. While living in China, I got exposed to the positive effects of Buddhism, Taoism, that way of life. And during my trip in China, I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study Shaolin Kung Fu and rule China. And every Friday, we'd stop our training, gather together in front of a statue of a Buddha, and we would pray to him and thank him for our good fortune, our good health. And this reminded me from when I was younger and how us Mexicans also pray to our God for our good health and all our blessings. My interactions with this new way of life confused my understanding of God even further. My third year in university, I studied abroad in Paris, France, the place where the Age of Enlightenment started. Enlightenment thinkers challenged religious orthodoxy. They challenged the current order of things. I became engrossed studying the great past philosophers of Europe in search of answers on religion. In Europe, I also learned about the Crusades, atrocities done in the name of God. I learned why the Vatican was stripped of its power and why religion and state were separated. I came back to the United States my fourth and final year of college as a completely new person. Now I don't know if God wanted to play a joke on me as my faith was already a mess, but he placed me in my final year in college with two roommates of two different religions. One was Egyptian Muslim, the other one was a Korean Buddhist. And the funny thing of it all is that we all became best friends. We did everything together. Our religion didn't matter. Although we all practiced different religions, it didn't put a barrier between our friendship. And this proved to me that religion doesn't matter at all if you want to be friends with someone. I even went as far as going to my Muslim roommate's home country, Egypt, just to try to understand him, his religion, a bit better. Everyone, even my family, would tell me, that's a stupid mistake. Why are you going to the Middle East? They're all terrorists. But they would say this out of ignorance, of course, because they never really interacted with the Muslim. That's all they hear in the news. I went to Egypt my senior year spring break. My trip to Egypt was a total disaster. My 2-week trip turned into a 3-day trip because that's when COVID started. During my time in Egypt, I was shocked to see how close they were to their Islamic faith. They would pray 5 times a day and they wouldn't drink alcohol. Seeing them so engrossed in their faith really moved me. After graduating university, I went back to the Middle East in search of answers because I was really curious on the Islamic faith. My journey started in the ancient capital of the Muslim world, Istanbul, Turkey. And from there I went over to Morocco and lived there for a month. During the time I lived in Muslim countries, I felt God was real because I saw how religious people were there. The experience I got from the Muslim world turned me from a Catholic to agnostic because now I was questioning, is my God the right one? Cherry on cake to my religious confusion was when I started a furniture business with 2 Jewish partners this past year. They were the most hardworking people I've ever met, extremely ambitious. In a short span, we were able to expand our furniture business into multiple states. I thought they were reckless at first, but they would say with great faith, look, if it truly doesn't work out in that state, we learn from that valuable lesson and continue expanding. We never stop. Although they were very money hungry and very ambitious, they never worked on a Saturday because for Jewish people, Saturday is a day of prayer. It's a very holy day. I'd be utterly shocked at first because they'd be leaving so much money on the table, but I'm working on Saturdays. I'm like, brothers, we can make so much money by having the place open on Saturday. And they say, no, we can't. It's a day of prayer. I respected the shit out of them for that. And during the whole partnership, I never felt once that I get screwed over by these people because they were God-fearing people. And God-fearing people wouldn't screw someone over because they knew God is always looking at them. And Jewish people especially, they live life with honor. I learned so much about business, the Jewish religion, thanks to my business partners. And if I didn't have other plans in life, I would have for sure stayed till the end with my Jewish partners. Now look guys, I'm not the innocent young boy I used to be. I've experienced and seen firsthand different religions, different gods, and I don't know anymore if having an education or having these experiences was a blessing or a nightmare because I'm now confused on my faith. I wish at times I would have stayed ignorant, never have gone to college, never have educated myself, because it now makes me ponder all day on whether God's actually real or if my God's the right one. I'm now lost spiritually, and I feel like I've let my family down, my dad down, and I constantly question if me having good health, having food, having money is a result of my hard work or out of my dad's prayers to his God every morning. My dad always told me that in order to be successful, to reach my full potential, I have to believe in God. And he always tells me it doesn't have to be my God. As long as you believe in God, that's all that matters. And I know he's right. All my role models, from Patrick Bet-David to Andrew Tate, they believe in God, and I crave success. I've let go of all my past vices. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't play video games, I don't watch porn. I want to become the best version I can be. But why can't I see God anymore? I could see God when I was a kid. Well, why can't I see him now? Why am I confused? I really hope future me is able to find God before it's too late. Now I ask you, my audience, I know many of you guys are Muslim, Jewish, Hindus, Christian, Buddhists, of different faiths. Do you think it was all part of God's greater plan? Do you think it was God's will that he introduced me to my two Jewish partners? Do you think it was God's will that he sent me abroad to learn about other faiths? Was this all part of God's greater plan?